Hey, I'm Jesse. Let's continue in our devotional series. We're coming up on the last few words of the epilogue to the Gospel of John. This is John chapter 21, verse 20. So Peter turned around and saw the disciple Jesus loved following them, the one who had leaned back against Jesus at the supper and asked, "Lord, who is the one that's going to betray you?" When Peter saw him, he said to Jesus, "Lord, what about him?" "If I want him to remain until I come," Jesus answered, "what is that to you? As for you, follow me." So this rumor spread to the brothers and sisters that the disciple would not die. Yet Jesus did not tell him that he would not die. But, "If I want him to remain until I come, what is that to you?" Don't play the comparison game with God's will for you versus God's will for another disciple. God's will for you versus God's will for some other Christian. You don't know what they're facing. You don't know what happens behind their doors. You don't know what goes on in their hearts. You don't know what's waiting for them in the future. You cannot know that, so it's futile anyway. It very well may be that God's will for you includes more suffering than it does for others. But what is that to you? Each of us has been given a cup to drink. Your cup may have more suffering than another Christian's. You will not be evaluated in eternity future based on your aptitude to drink someone else's cup. You have been uniquely called and gifted, and your existence on this earth timed in such a way that you would drink deep the cup that God has given you. Do not play the comparison game. You may look at a brother or sister in Christ, and you may look at their material possessions. That's the easiest thing to look at, especially in the social media age. And it may look like God's blessing everybody but you, or he's blessing other people more than he's blessing you. But as you look at those people, you don't know what they've been through in the past, and you don't know what they're going through in the future. You cannot know, especially based on what they put forward on social media. Think on social media just for a minute, because if you're watching this online, chances are you also have social media. People put, it's true, their best or most important moments forward on social media, but I don't think that means that they're being fake. Not necessarily. Could be, but it's not necessarily so. Because consider the alternative. If we just put forward our worst moments on social media, then, like Dr. Jordan Peterson says, social media would just be this cascade of unmitigated misery and suffering. What fun is that to look at? So you cannot use social media as a gauge to know what's happening in people's lives and in their hearts. All right, people put things on social media either because sometimes, yeah, true, they want to put forth this image like I'm living quite the life, and meanwhile behind the scenes they're actually suffering. Or it could be that genuinely are happy and they want to share a little bit of that with you. But you don't know, and you cannot know. So this is a very poor instrument to measure your standing, as it were, if this were a race or contest compared to other people. So don't get caught up in that game. If it helps, get off social media. If you suffer with that, just turn the thing off. If God is calling you to turn that thing off, Satan's using that as a stumbling stone, and you're just coveting, then just, it's causing you to sin. Gouge it out. Cut it off. Get rid of it. I've been through seasons like that. My bride's been through seasons like that. We never missed it. We use social media as a ministry tool. I post pictures of my cute kids every once in a while so my atheist friends won't unfriend me. And I try to keep it balanced so I can share the gospel every once in a while. That's the way I see it. Don't use social media as a means to measure your life compared to someone else's. You don't know what God's calling them to in the future. You don't know what's been in their past, and you may not really know what's going on behind their closed doors. God has called you to drink your cup, so you drink deep the cup that you've been given, knowing that only Jesus can drink deep the cup of God's wrath in full. Before he went to the cross, he said, "Lord, Father, let this cup pass from me, yet not my will be done but yours." Aren't you glad that the Son subjected himself to the Father's will? He drank deep the cup that none of us could, so we will drink deep the cups that he's given us. God's will for Peter was that he be crucified upside down. So whatever God's will may be for you, it's ultimately going to be for his glory, whether blessing or suffering, whether rich or poor, whether healthy or sick. We will all glorify God together. Go light up someone's darkness today.